Well, there you go. You see, I couldn't resist it. This is part 2 of the badger drawing with the mole, Diggy. And I think what we're going to do is add a bit of colour to this now, because that might be fun to do, mightn't it? Because if we bring grandfather's coat down, now he's not a long coat, it only goes to here, so we can safely say that's roughly where it ends. Now if we rub some of this out that we put in when I was showing you about doing the pattern on the jacket, we just gently rub that out a minute, then I can show you what I meant earlier about making this into a like tweedy coat. And it's surprising, once you add a bit of colour, how this will come to life. Now, I use watercolour pencils to do this. Let's have a nice bright green. So, there we go, there's the green going in for the coat, which is the main colour in it. I mean, if you ever see a tweed, it's usually green or brown, I think. Sometimes grey, I suppose. But we're going to have we want a bit of colour in this, so we're going to have this as, it's like a sap green actually, I would call that, which is one of my favourite colours when I'm actually doing a watercolour painting. Leaf green, maybe. Sap green, I don't know. The pencil just says pencil. Now, there's various different makes of watercolour pencils on the market. I've tried quite a few of them with varying levels of success. Now, the only thing is, with any pencil, especially watercolour pencils that I've found, is you really want to avoid dropping them at all costs, especially onto a hard surface, because you can break the lead all the way through. Now, the problem I've had is we haven't now, where I live, got an actual art shop, which is a tragedy in itself. So you've got no choice but to buy online, which means it gets delivered through the post or by the other people we won't mention there by name, because they got more than enough to people know who they are. But the trouble is, the packages tend to get thrown around a bit. So when you get to your pencils, the lead's broken all the way through. So as you sharpen it, it just breaks off. Now, you see what I mean now about putting these stripes in here with a red pencil, and that gives you a nice pleasing effect. Now, if you wanted to, you could really spend some time doing this, but for all intents and purposes of what we're doing today, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I would do normally to try and get it pretty well uniform, and of course you've got to sort of map out for a sleeve, which you better do, because I've just noticed we haven't really got an arm this side at all, have we? For poor old Granddad, so we put his sleeve in here. And just have it going around the back outside. The other arm we won't worry about, you can't see that. So for this picture, I mean, I would probably put it in, because he has got a walking stick. Because what you've got to bear in mind is with Grandad is there's more to Grandad than actually meets the eye. He's not just some old fella. He's got particular skills that if I ever finish the book, or you ever look at my Facebook page, you will see. But We won't worry about that here today. See, now, as you put these stripes in, you see, the more you put in, you get this checked effect. And it's quite pleasing, isn't it? You see, but of course you've got to bear in mind, when you're doing this, this is the tricky part. Because the sleeve would be sewn in separately as such. So you've got to bear in mind that's what's going to happen. And although if it was an expensive tailor that made this jacket, then they would take great pains to line the checks up, because I've had to do that myself when I was a tailor. When you're working with something like a Prince of Wales check, that is an immense amount of fun. But when you're charging great sums of money for a suit, people expect it. So there we are. Now then, this is what I was said about the tweed effect. Now, I'm doing this with a pencil, but you might find it's quicker and easier to do it with an actual fine line ink pen. Just be careful, because you don't want to make it that much darker than the rest of the picture. I mean, if you were going to go round the outline of all of this with a black line, then that's fine. I'm not going to do that, because I quite like the sort of organic feel you get when you're using pencil. I don't know. And the thing is, if you want that black line effect, just go down the edges over again with a pencil, and you'll get pretty much the same effect, you see. So there, now this takes time, so I'm not going to waste time doing this over the whole jacket, but you're getting the idea of what the effect that I'm going for here. You see what I mean? So what was looking rather plain is now looking rather tweedy. Now, we've shaded this in grey, this jumper, but luckily we didn't use too heavier pencil, so we could rub that out. Now, I can remember going down to see my granddad years ago, and he used to have a jumper that used to wear his best clothes when he used to go out, and it was like a pale blue, and he was very proud of his pale blue jacket. He loved that, he did. Now we just get rid of this pencil. I did have a brush, but I can't find it. I was saying to you yesterday, wasn't it? I keep losing things. Now, they're going to give this, you can have a nice pale blue jumper in memory of my granddad and his pale blue jumper that he used to wear. Grandad Jack, as we called him, because, surprise, surprise, his name was, go on, you can guess, Jack, that's it, you got it, go. Brilliant. See? And like I said before, it's your picture. You could do what you want. Now we're going to leave the shirt. So he's got like a white shirt on. But I think what we're going to do with the tie, we're going to leave that actual white, but we're going to make a red polka dot. So what we need here is a nice red, dark red. Now this hasn't really got much of a point on it, this pencil. So, because normally I would sharpen all the pencils before I start. But I will warn you, if you do sharpen pencils to do this sort of work, one of the things that it's advisable to do is not press too hard, because you'll just break the pencil. Because these watercolor pencils are very soft. But I like them because, like I said, you can use a bit of water with them if you want to get certain effects. Or you can just use them as they are, but they will blend, which is quite nice. There you are, there's his bow tie. Now he's looking a bit sort of flamboyant, isn't he? But I just had a thought. I think what I might do is add a bit of yellow to the background of this tie. What do you think? That makes it look quite good, doesn't it? So I know it's getting more clown-like, but the thing about putting this yellow on, if you do happen to go over the red, it doesn't really matter. In fact, it brings the dots out a bit more if you do. So there you are, looking very flash and dapper, as they used to say in the old days. Now he's gonna have like a little thing around his the V-neck. I don't know what it's called, border I suppose, want of a better word. And of course the jumper would also have a little bit of a border around it, like so. I used to have jumpers like this. But the thing is, as you get a little bit more rotund from the pies and the chips, I know you shouldn't do it, I know, but the trouble is you get a bit of a belly, and what can happen is terrible, is your jumper can ride up. Oh, nothing worse, is there, than your jumper riding up, showing your shirt. And what happens as well, can happen, is your shirt spreads out, and you can see little bits of pink belly sticking through. Whoa, gracious. Terrible. I dare say a lot of you youngsters haven't experienced that. But let me reassure you, at some point in your life, that is something you've got to look forward to. No good going on about that's not going to happen to me. I used to say that. I used to say that all the time. Not going to happen to me. And, well, let's put it just this way. It happened to me. So there we are. Some people don't put any weight on. Some people keep all their hair. Now, I've kept quite a bit of my hair. I do have what some would call a crop circle appearing on my head, which could be aliens coming in at night doing that, I suppose. Merlin did once offer, that's the wizard who lives in my attic, by the way, in case this is your first time of you coming on here. He did offer once to restore my hair, but that was just after the dragon incident, when they blew a hole in the roof. And I got to be honest, absolutely honest with you, I wasn't terribly impressed at the time. So I tended to let that one go, you know. We're going to have a bit of yellow in the buckle there. And what we're going to do here, we're going to do the mole's hat, because that would make quite a difference to his hat. And I think yellow, we're going to go for a yellow hat. Bit like, what's his name? Who's the little fella? I want to say Bob. Bob the Builder, is it? He got yellow builder's hat. I used to have one of these, actually. Because I used to do a lot of sign writing in my misspent youth. I used to do it for a living, actually. And I worked on a few builder sites where it was compulsory. And a very good friend of mine gave me one of these, so I could wear it on to the site. If I had two, I had a yellow one, and they built a big shopping centre where I live, and I was very friendly with the top chap there, a guy called John Berry, lovely bloke, lovely man, big shout out to John. And he let me have a blue one, which was only the top chaps had the blue ones. So I had a blue hat, but of course when you went around the site in your blue hat, most of the people that actually worked on the site were kind of hoping you'd fall in a hole or something. Because I don't know if that's the same the world over, but there was... Oh, I do remember once when I had to go and measure up some signs for what they call the topping out ceremony. Now, a topping out ceremony is when they're building something and they get to the highest point of the project and they have what they call a topping out ceremony. And we had to walk onto the site, and the only way to walk onto the site was to walk across, well, it was a plank. It was like walking a plank. And it was quite flimsy. I mean, luckily I was quite young in those days. I was only, 20-something. So I didn't quite have the same fear that I got today. And I went across quite easy. But it was, everybody stopped to watch the management and yours truly go across this bridge, hoping they were going to fall in this hole. And the hole was full of quite murky, muddy water. I mean, of course, by the time we had the topping out ceremony and all the hoi polloi were going to be there, they'd sorted that out. They weren't going to have the hoi polloi going to fall in, no hole in the ground. So they didn't have that. They didn't have to run the gauntlet. Shall we call it the gauntlet? Yes, we call it the gauntlet. Now then, there we are. Now, see, that's pretty much kind of good, isn't it? Now, of course, old Moldy's flying jacket is sheepskin. So it wouldn't actually be a pure white. It would be enough an off-white, like a creamy colour. But I did have a coloured pencil that was that colour. But like I said, previously times, it vanished like things do. And I don't know where it is. It's here somewhere. But at the moment, I cannot locate it. Anyway, so there we are. Look at that. There we go. And there's no Diggy. Diggy in his pilot flying sheepskin jacket. You see? It's kind of cool, isn't it? And let's give a bit of colour. Let's give, what should colour should we? Let's have George can be in a nice red, I think. Red jacket, we'll have. And like I said, if you start off faintly with your colouring things in, you can add to it. There's a couple of things in life like that you should take your time over. We won't go into them all now, but you'll know what they are as you go through life. So anyway, so there we are. There's the character. Now you can't really colour in any more than that because badgers are basically the colour that, well, they're not actually coloured, are they? Because black and white is not a colour, as my art teacher used to tell me. I had two very good art teachers over the years, a chap called Alan Wilde, who was a genius, and a chap called Speck, who was also a genius. But of course in those days art was not really thought of as a great thing in schools. There we are. So they weren't ever given the funds to do what they needed to do. That's all I'm going to do, I think. I think that's going to do. I don't think we need to do any more than that. for now, because that gives you the idea of what we're going for. We'll just give Georgia a nice orangey t-shirt like that, or a sweatshirt. Let's say it's a sweatshirt. Yeah, why not? There you go. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll catch you again. Bye bye.